AskReddit bias in mystique. What's claimed as a masterpiece by the whole world but you don't just get why? If you're not sorting this by controversial, you're not getting the opinions this question was meant for. Thanks, I was wondering why these were so ho-hum. Time to dive into some internet trash. The Mona Lisa isn't even the most interesting piece by Da Vinci. And Da Vinci's best work weren't his paintings. I may be wrong, but it was my understanding that the Mona Lisa was the best example of the coming together of painting techniques that Da Vinci invented, such as sfumato. Admittedly, it's hard to appreciate under all those layers of yellowing varnish, bulletproof glass, and crowds of tourists. In this thread, people ignoring the question and just saying stuff they don't like. Brilliance sucks. Great question. US in mystique. I'd say James Joyce's Ulysses. It's poetic at times, has quotable lines throughout, and was undoubtedly revolutionary in its style, but goddamn, it is impenetrable for vast passages, filled with archaic references, which I don't think are particularly clever, and is just way too long. Stream of conscious wordplay, free association, and outright rambling gets old pretty quick. James Joyce's love letters, on the other hand, those are masterpieces. The film Breakfast at Tiffany's. The first time I watched it I didn't get it. I felt like something was missing. Then I read the book and a lot is missing. Add the Mickey Rooney character and the whole thing becomes unwatchable. I didn't know there was a book. What's missing? The Louvre is overwhelmingly for an art lover. To have such masterpieces as Delacroix, The Death of Sardanapalus, and Gericault's The Raft of the Medusa just hanging along the wall in one of the gallery walkways just blew my mind. And of course that's just one macro example. But I could study those paintings all day long. I couldn't fathom why everyone was crowding Mona. Everything on the way to the Mona Lisa is better than the Mona Lisa. Lil Sebastian. I don't get it, at all. I mean, he's kind of a small horse. Get out. Pollock's paintings never did much for me, and yes, I've seen them in person. They are impressive because of their sheer size, but beyond that, I don't find them particularly interesting, just chaotic in a rather boring way. I'm wavering about Mondrian's later work, the iconic colored rectangles. The abstract symbols without meaning doesn't do it for me. It seems so superficial, masquerading for depth. The colors are beautiful though, and I really like his earlier work, which is more on the edge between abstract and concrete. Masterpieces were initially pieces submitted when the person wanted to become a master. Somebody who was able to teach others, not somebody who was at the pinnacle of their craft. So many masterpieces are inferior works of the person because they started teaching and added interesting influences or increased their technique because of it. People often use masterpiece when they mean magnum opus. Masterpiece actually indeed means something like a breakthrough movie for a director. Although the meaning definitely has changed, so it's not weird that it's used this way. The Eiffel Tower. Everyone in Paris thought it was hideous when it was built. It's not really that aesthetically pleasing. Building a 300m metal tower in 1889 truly was an engineering prowess. It's not the most beautiful landmark on Earth, but when you're at its feet it's still impressive. It was supposed to be built only for the Exposition Universelle and is assembled 20 years later. Imagine by John Lennon. It's a fucking pretentious, arrogant, wankfest of a song. And to top it off, the film clip of this cunt in a big white mansion with a white grand piano, getting driven round in a Rolls Royce, while clothes in designer fashion. To its credit, how else would tone-deaf celebrities let us know they too are suffering under covered lockdowns on their spacious estates? I think most people that are answering this with Mona Lisa, EF Tower, MJ etc are right but also wrong. Everyone loved The Notebook, but I didn't understand why, because it felt like every other romantic movie out there, lol. I now understand why. I watched it recently, so now I have copies, remakes, inspirations of such movies in hundreds, so it doesn't feel as special as it might be for them at that time. These were marvelous at the time they were made. People are just carrying on that hype forward. If you look at the present day, there are many such arts and architectures that could overtake them, but the difference is accessibility to resources that we have now vs then. This is very relevant for movies. Look at Psycho and Star Wars and try to imagine that nothing like that came before. It's hard to do if you didn't experience it yourself. People in this thread confusing masterpieces with popular shit they don't like. I think Banksy is pretentious at best and his art is mediocre. His true masterpieces exit through the gift shop. I didn't get The Catcher in the Rye. You read it as a teenager and think Caulfield's right about everything, everyone else sucks. You read it in your 20s and think Caulfield's a spoiled asshole. You read it in your 30s and think Caulfield needs to see a therapist, which, coincidentally, is where he is at the end of the book. I like Queen quite a lot, but man do I not care for Bohemian Rhapsody. The song is fine, yeah, but whenever it comes on I really wish it was anything else from them. Queen has so many bangers and for some reason BR is the thing people gravitate towards. I get why it is a good song and I can appreciate it as a musician, but I just don't get why people consider it their greatest work. BR is an amazing song, unique in the world of classic rock, it's just been brutally overplayed. Hamilton musical. This is a safe space where you don't have to pretend you liked Hamilton. A lot of Picasso's work or Jackson Pollock's work, pretty much every Thomas Kinkade. Thomas Kinkade is literally the most hated artist in the world. Stranger Things. We get it. You all wish you lived in the 80s and never saw the Goonies before. I was born in 77. Loved through the whole 80s and I think it's great. First series captured the atmosphere perfectly. Later ones aren't so good, but it's still very well done. I think most of this thread is ignoring the relevancy to the time of its creation. The Mona Lisa, Eiffel Tower, OG Star Wars. You can't exactly just push those works of art forward and compare them to modern day stuff. At least, in my opinion.